everybody. It's Sports Guy Ron here with the Week 4 NFL recap and a Thursday night Week 5 preview and prediction. The first game of the week was in Dublin, Ireland. Pittsburgh was victorious over Minnesota 24-21. Pittsburgh's now 3-1. Minnesota 2-2. I predicted Minnesota, so to win, that's an L. And against the spread, it was also an L. They were favored. The Pittsburgh defense woke up. It's about time, aided by two Minnesota offensive line injuries. Once Ryan Kelly went out and Brian O'Neill, the right tackle, went out, Wentz, he couldn't do anything. Pittsburgh's pressure started up. There's turnovers all over the place. They even had a return touchdown that was called back because the fumbler was laying out of bounds, touching the ball before he picked it up and returned it. So, it could have been worse. Pittsburgh just totally outclassed Minnesota. Minnesota did try to come back at the end, but they did not deserve that victory. Pittsburgh dominated and was victorious. In the first 1 o'clock game, we had the Buffalo Bills, now 4-0. They defeated the New Orleans Saints 31-19. I won that picking Buffalo, but I lost against the spread because it was only 12 points. New Orleans, you got to give them credit. They were competitive against Buffalo. James Cook had 22 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown for Buffalo. It was a big play in the game. And New Orleans, their big mistake was Chris Olave. They were down in Buffalo's territory towards the goal line. They did a reverse, and Olave tried a wide receiver pass into the end zone, which was intercepted. It was a big play in the game. New Orleans did try to keep fighting, but they could not overcome that mistake and just the fact that Buffalo is better. In the next game, we had the Houston Texans finally getting a win. They're 1-3 now. They defeated Tennessee 26-0. Tennessee shut out. Their offense is bad. Probably the worst in the league, although there's a couple that are close. You could say Cleveland and Cincinnati's are close, unfortunately. But Tennessee, they got 175 yards. They were 2 for 11 on third down. They had 21 minutes plus of time of possession. It means Houston almost had 40. Houston did not really play that great of a game other than their defense, but their defense didn't have to work that hard because Tennessee just does not have what it takes on offense. And you got to worry about Ryan Callahan. His job might be in jeopardy. He might be the first coach fired because that offense just is not getting it done. And you picked a quarterback first overall, and you want him to be succeeding, not looking like Cam Ward is right now. The next game is Detroit. They defeated Cleveland 34-10. I got the win on that one, picking Detroit. I also got the win with the spread, which was 10. The reason I went against a lot of people. They were saying Cleveland to cover because of their defense. I said their defense doesn't always travel. Their defense still played well. Detroit did not get tons of yards. Their special teams did. They got a punt return for a touchdown. Cleveland, again, they were the worst at it by far last year. They're the worst right now. Again, they turned the ball over 3 times. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 7 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Browns have decided they're going to bench Joe Flacco and start Dylan Gabriel in London against Minnesota in Week 5. Their defense played pretty well, but Detroit they had no help from their offense or their special teams. When you don't play complementary football, doesn't matter how good your defense is playing, even against a team like Detroit with a very potent offense and many weapons, they're going to score. In a good game at 1 o'clock, it was Atlanta. They're 2-2 now. They defeated Washington, also 2-2, 34-27. I won that for the win, and then against the spread, I had picked Atlanta. I like them at home. They're a good team at home. They don't travel well, but they play well at home. Michael Penix was 20 of 26, had 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Drake London had 8 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. On third down, Washington was 1 of 8. Atlanta was 6 and 12. Probably the biggest decider in NFL games is turnovers. Second biggest decider, I would say, personally, is third down conversions and fourth down conversions. If you can convert on third down, if you can keep them reasonable length, if you can keep your offense on the field, if you can rest your defense, if you can chew up time of possession and be moving down the field by doing it, converting third downs, you have a better chance to win unless you're giving up a lot of explosive plays. And Atlanta was able to hold off Washington. Washington played well. Mariota played better than I expected in the 2 games that he played. Jaden Daniels is expected back in week 5. Washington has to be happy about that in case something happens to Daniels again for a short period of time. But Atlanta was just better today. Tampa Bay, in the big game of the week, Philadelphia defeated Tampa Bay 31-25. Philadelphia is still undefeated. They're 4-0. Tampa Bay is 3-1. I won that game for the win, but I lost it against the spread. Philly had a 24-3 lead at halftime. Tampa Bay did cut it to 24-6 at halftime with a Chase McLaughlin 65-yard field goal. He had a couple more yards left on that field goal, it sure looked like. He also hit a 56-yarder later in the game. For Tampa Bay, Emeka Egbuka, 77-yard touchdown. Bucky Irving had a 72-yard touchdown. They had big plays. They came back in the game. The big play to get Philly started off to a big lead was a blocked punt for a return for a touchdown by Sidney Jones. Special teams was a big theme again this week. Lots of blocked punt returns, lots of kickoff returns, just turns all over the place. Long field goals. So special teams is an important part of the game. They say there's 3 aspects to football for a reason: offense, defense, special teams. Not sure that it's equal, but it can equalize and it can overcome some of the other things. In the next game, we had New England. They turned into 2-2. They defeated Carolina 42-13. Carolina is now 1-3. I won that pick against the spread and for the win. New England had a punt return touchdown. They had no turnovers, and they averaged 6.4 yards per play. There was not a dominant performance by New England as far as yardage, turnovers, any of those third downs, any of those statistics, but they made the plays when they had to. They did have the special teams touchdown. So 42-13, I'm not sure that score indicates how the game really was, except that New England made all the plays when they had to score points. Carolina did not. In the surprising upset of the week, the New York Giants defeated the LA Chargers 21-18. The New York Giants are now 1-3, their first victory of the year. The LA Chargers had their first loss. They're now 3-1. I took the loss on the win and against the spread. Jackson Dart got a win in his very first start. Unfortunately for him, it's going to be harder for him going forward because Malik Neighbors is out for the season with the torn ACL. It's unfortunate. Injuries happen. There's a lot of injuries this week again. It's not good. So, what can you do about that except, you have to have depth. And the Chargers, I thought, were the better team. They did have 14 penalties. They had 2 turnovers that kept the game where they could not, to keep drives going. They settled for some field goals and this and that, and they just didn't score enough points. Amarian Hampton looks pretty good as a rookie runner. 12 carries, 120 yards, and 128 yards and a touchdown. It was like a 50-yarder or something like that. And then you had Quentin Johnson, who somehow has found his hands. I was really worried about him when I first saw him last year, but he's been coming on. He still has issues with drops, but he's been making a lot of plays. 8 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. So even though I thought the Chargers were the better team, they did travel across the country, but they lost to the New York Giants. In the first 4 o'clock game, the Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the San Francisco 49ers 26-21. I lost that on the win and against the spread. I did predict San Francisco. I thought San Francisco was the better team, but sometimes the better team does not win. Jacksonville returned a punt for a touchdown. It's a theme of the week. That was a big play. Brock Purdy was obviously playing hurt with that turf toe. Lots of his balls were high. A lot of the throws that he missed that he should have made against that Jacksonville defense, who I don't really think played that well. I think San Francisco moved the ball a lot. I think that San Francisco shot themselves in the foot, no pun intended, with Purdy's toe. By throwing high a lot. He had 2 interceptions. Jacksonville dropped interceptions that were thrown high. Travis Etienne did have a good game with 19 carries for 124 yards and a touchdown. But San Francisco turned the ball over 4 times to none for Jacksonville. That's the difference in the game. That and the special teams touchdown. There's no reason that Jacksonville should have won that game. They did play well, not bad. But San Francisco was better. But San Francisco made too many mistakes, and that's what's going to happen against a pretty decent team. I got to say, Jacksonville, they're now 3-1. San Francisco's 3-1. I mean, they're a decent team, but I think that they were helped out a lot by San Francisco in that game. In the next game was a very good game. The Rams defeated the Indianapolis Colts 27-20. This was another one where I don't know if the best team won in that game on that day. You got to give it Adonai Mitchell. Poor kid. He made a fantastic catch on the sidelines, was running down the sidelines for a touchdown, but he did the mistake that you see at least once a year by somebody. He dropped the ball. I don't think he wasn't trying to do anything except just kind of put the ball up, but he fumbled the ball out of the back of the end zone, untouched, and it was for a touchback. He also had a holding call on a Jonathan Taylor 53-yard touchdown run, and that brought that touchdown back. I mean, those 14 points are huge in the game. You can't make those mistakes against a very good team, which the LA Rams are playing like a very good team. Indy had 3 turnovers, including the Mitchell gaff, and LA had 1, and that's the difference in the game. I did get a win against the spread and on the win, but honestly, I probably didn't deserve it because Indianapolis probably should have went in there and won the way they played, but they didn't. Another entertaining game, we had the Chicago Bears. They're now 2-2. They defeated the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 1-3, 25-24. Vegas, it's funny how Las Vegas, the city, the casinos, they get this right. I saw some places had Las Vegas favored by a point. Chicago was favored by a point at one place. It's like in that kind of game, the game ended up as a 1-point victory for Chicago. Vegas knows what they're doing. They make money out there for a reason. I lost this one. I predicted Vegas would win it. You got to give it to Caleb Williams. He played pretty well, overcoming a great performance by Ashton Genty. He had 155 combined yards and 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately for the Raiders, Geno Smith threw 3 interceptions. You got to wonder what's going on with him and Chip Kelly's offense out there. He does not seem to be, he's turning the ball over a lot. He had one, a good game, and then he'll have a bad game where he's throwing it all around. But we'll see what happens. It's a long season. We're only a quarter of the way in, so we'll see. DeAndre Swift, he had a 4-yard touchdown run with a minute 34 left in the fourth quarter. Chicago went for 2 and couldn't get it. And then Las Vegas went down and tried to win it at the end, but could not. So Chicago gets the victory. in a very important game, at least one of the games of the week, supposedly, Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Baltimore Ravens 37-20. Kansas City's now 2-2 after starting 0-2. Baltimore is 1-3. I took the L on that. I thought Baltimore would, after that terrible performance against Detroit in the second half, that they would come out and really take it to Kansas City. There's a lot of revenge going into that game, but they didn't. Patrick Mahomes played well. He had 270 yards and 4 touchdowns. Baltimore turned the ball over 2 times. And Baltimore is now a mash unit. Lamar Jackson is hurt. He pulled a hamstring. He might be out 2 to 3 weeks. We're not positive, but it's looking that way. Roquan Smith got hurt. Ronnie Stanley, the tackle, got hurt. Marlon Humphrey, the cornerback, got hurt. The other cornerback, Nate Wiggins, all injured during the game. We'll have to see who's showing up for the week 5, but they are in serious trouble if all them guys are out. So Kansas City got an impressive victory to get back to 2-2. I think they've righted the ship somewhat. We'll see how it does going forward. In an exciting game, we had Green Bay, the Sunday night. Green Bay and Dallas tie 40-40. So I took the tie on the win. I lost against the spread. I had picked Green Bay. Ties suck. That's what I said. I stand by that. You change the rules to give you have to have each team possess the ball now. So why do we only have 10 minutes each, or 10 minutes in the overtime period? I mean, there's no time for anything else. If each team gets a field goal, which is what happened here, it's going to end up in a tie. I mean, not even the NHL has ties anymore. I mean, they go to a shootout at least and whatever. I'm not saying have a field goal kicking contest. I'm saying if you've already extended the game by 10 minutes, we need a winner. And they say, oh, well, we don't want it longer 10 minutes because we don't want these guys putting their bodies on the line for more than they already do. Well, if that's the case, then why do you keep having more games and more games in a season? It's not correct. It's either one or the other. You don't want to add games to the season, make them longer, or you don't want to make them play longer in the overtime game. You can't have it both ways. They need to come up with something to change that. Jordan Love was great, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dak, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brandon McManus, the Green Bay kicker, had a field goal to tie the game at the end of regulation. He also had a field goal at the end of overtime for the tie. Green Bay was an impressive 10 of 14 on third down. Dallas's defense is still bad. It's really bad, especially without Micah. I don't know if he covered up the problems. They weren't great with him last year, so it's not all because he's gone. They're just bad. It's not all about stopping the run either. I mean, Jordan Love was throwing all over the place on them. So they need to fix that defense bad. So they are now 1-2-1. Green Bay is now 2-1-1. In the first Monday night game, the Miami Dolphins defeated the New York Jets 27-21. Miami is now 1-3. The Jets are 0-4. I did win that against the spread and the win. I did predict Miami. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill is now out for the season with a dislocated knee and torn ligaments. He's already had surgery. They say everything went well, but usually with those injuries, he's going to have another surgery, but we'll see. Hopefully he can be back for the start of next season. Devon Achane, he had 99 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Darren Waller had 2 touchdown receptions in his return. He was a big red zone target for Tua. Came through with 2 touchdown passes. Was a real difference maker in the game for that. In the second Monday night game, we had the Denver Broncos defeating the Cincinnati Bengals 28-3. I won that For the win, I lost it against the spread. I thought Cincinnati would at least show up. They did not. They were totally dominating that game. It's probably the worst performance, I would say, of the season by a team. Cincinnati had 159 yards. They had 11 penalties. Their offense is just bad. It was bad with Burrow. It's bad now, even worse with Browning. Denver had 512 yards. Cincinnati's defense is bad. It was bad when Burrow was there. It's worse now. Denver had 29 first downs, Cincy 9. It was total domination. It looked like, honestly, it looked like Ohio State against Grambling, which finished 70-0. It was that bad. Cincinnati had a good first drive. Of course, they settled for a field goal, and from there on, Denver won 28-3. It could have been a lot worse, but luckily for Cincinnati, it wasn't. But they're just a bad team right now. They really need to start picking it up. So for the week, I went 10-5-1 for the win. And against the spread, I was 7-9. That seems to be a theme. Really good on picking winners, but against the spread, I seem to get edged out on certain ones. Although I do win a couple by a little bit, so I guess that kind of evens out. But I guess Vegas knows what they're doing. In the Thursday night game for Week 5, we have San Francisco 3-1 at the LA Rams 3-1. The spread's 6.5. Although it keeps going up, it's probably going to go up more. I'm picking LA to win and to cover, even though San Francisco usually, even though they've lost the last 3 meetings, these games are usually decided by less than 6 points, especially it's a division game, even though it's on Thursday night. But Brock Purdy has been declared out. So has Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. They're all out. Nick Bosa's out. I just think the Rams are playing better football, even though 49ers were playing well with Purdy. I think Mac Jones will be respectable. I just think that on Thursday night, on the short week, without the 2 receivers, Christian McCaffrey is going to have to carry too much of a load. It's going to be harder 4 days after you've played. I just think the Rams are going to do enough that they're going to cover the spread. Okay, I hope you all liked this video. Give it a like, please. I'd appreciate it. I hope you share it with your friends. Hopefully, we can get more people to see these videos and have some conversation about the NFL. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I'd also appreciate that. Hopefully you learned something today, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.